Chair now recognizes Mr. Biggs from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out before I get into my question that unless you have all 8 of those electric vehicles built by NEVI with the $5 billion given to NEVI in your district, then you've got EVs that are done by the private sector, and that you should acknowledge that, perhaps, maybe, when you're talking about how great they are. So I appreciate the testimony of the witnesses. Mr. Krikorian, thank you for your work. Let's ask you some numbers quickly, Mr. Krikorian, and I want you to let me know if these are accurate or in the ballpark. 8 million illegal alien encounters by CBP during the Biden-Harris regime.
Actually, more than that, because that's the southern border. When you count the whole country, it's more than 10 million.
Right. Very good. Southern border. 5.6 million illegal aliens released into the United States by this administration?
As far as I know, yes. They're not very transparent about it, but that's the conclusion we've come to.
1.9 million known gotaways?
Yep.
Myriad number of unknown gotaways?
We don't know what that number is, obviously, because it's unknown.
617,607 illegal aliens released into the country with criminal convictions or pending criminal charges.
I don't have the number in front of me, but yes, I think that's correct.
And in early 2021, the administration tapped Vice President Harris to serve as the administration's border czar. That's not my title. It's not a title manufactured by Republicans. And, Mr. Chairman, I submit an article into the record entitled "Harris to Visit Mexico and Guatemala."
Without objection.
And border czar Kamala Harris often blames the root causes or push factors in Central America for the border crisis. Do you agree with that assessment, Mr. Krikorian?
Those factors are endemic. The reason we had the border crisis is because of the pull factors, the other side, which is to say policies this administration implemented.
So the current commander-in-chief has said that the Border Patrol Union backed the Senate Border Patrol bill, backed the Senate Border Bill, and I want to submit for the record, Mr. Chairman, an article that says Border Patrol Union Chief says Biden must quit saying Union backed the border bill.
Without objection, so ordered.
And Mr. Krikorian, the Senate border bill allowed 5,000 individuals to encounters a day before you could even begin to call it an emergency situation. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is.
And then before the President was mandated to take any action, it allowed up to 7,500 people a day. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And there were 40 different loopholes, even if the President were to put up a roadblock and say, this is an emergency, we're going to stop. There were 40 different loopholes to allow people in.
It was riddled with loopholes, yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I have an article here. The Biden-Harris parole pipeline releases more than 1.3 million migrants into American communities. So over the last 15, and I'd like to admit that to the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Over the last 15 months, the CBP One app has let in 813,000 into the country, CBP One app. They don't include those in the encounter figures that they release. Isn't that true, Mr. Krikorian?
It's not included in the border encounter numbers. It is included in the overall
release numbers. Yeah, in the release numbers. And not only that, they also released over 500,000 from the CHNV program, which for folks who don't know what that is, that's the Cuba, Haitian, Nicaraguan, Venezuelan program, which, by the way, they stopped. You remember that when they stopped that for 2 weeks? Why did they stop that, Mr. Krikorian? Do you remember?
Because of widespread fraud on the part of supposed sponsors, because the people are supposed to have a sponsor, and so there were like multiple fake addresses, fake sponsors, hundreds of people sponsored by the same person, that kind of fraud.
Yeah, they said they had more than 12,000 cases of fraud, and they took 2 whole weeks to look at it. And then they reignited the program. So let's talk about some other impacts. Jerome Powell. Anybody know who Jerome Powell is? Federal Reserve Chair, right? He suggested just the other day that the influx of migration is contributing to rising unemployment. I'd like to submit that for the record, please, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, so ordered.
I'd like to submit another article for the record. This one says CBP One application migrants are released into the United States, no asylum questions asked.
Without objection, so ordered.
Yeah, and then we get to the end of this, and the border, having just been to the border once again, just 2 weeks ago, I can tell you, folks, it continues to be wide open, and this administration drives that. They're providing every incentive in the world. They love an open border. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.